r/AskReddit. Students/teachers of Reddit. What's the best backquote? Forgot to turn off the mic story during virtual learning? Well, it happened in one of the classes. The teacher was going through a rough time and the class could feel it. We assured her that we had done our homework and that she could take rest for the time being. She agreed and told she would switch her mic off and sleep for a while as we did whatever. Her husband was right beside her and the mic wasn't turned off. She told, "I'm so lucky to have these students," and started sobbing to her husband. We all heard this, but kept quiet to prevent her being embarrassed. She slept well during that time, and we sent her a thank you gift collectively. I teach for an online university that requires me to conduct a weekly live session. One morning I was lecturing, and a student popped in late. I said, "Hello, student name. Thanks for joining us." She said, "Don't say my name, bitch," just before she realized her mic was on and turned it off. I just laughed. All future interactions with her need to be prefaced with, "Yes, she who must not be named." Ironically, my ed teacher forgot to turn off his mic and camera and proceeded to get in a very heated argument on the phone with his ex-girlfriend who he has a kid with. Did I mention that she's also a teacher at our school? Yeah, most awkward 5 minutes of my life before he realized. I was producing a video for some university professors on a specific medical thing for a virtual learning course. I was all set up to shoot the process, and the teachers excused themselves to the next office to regroup and have a chat. I already had their wireless lav mics attached and fed to my camera, so when I sat down at the camera and put on my headphones I immediately heard their conversation. They were criticizing me, saying they couldn't believe they hired someone so young, inexperienced in that particular medical field, how I looked, how I asked questions, etc. Oops. At least I made them a fine video. These days I don't put my headphones on until we are about to shoot. Oh, that's so sad. I hope you proved them wrong big time with an amazing video. I did my best. During my English class, this one girl forgot to mute herself. While my teacher was talking, she almost deafened all of us on the Zoom call answering her mother's questions. Her mother, from a distance, "What class are you in?" Her, yelling, "English." Her mother, "Oh, the hot teacher?" Her, "Yeah, that guy." Now, even I'll admit my teacher is fairly attractive, but it does take it to another level when you get your own mother involved. Thankfully, our teacher is a chill guy and thought the whole thing was just kind of funny and kind of just gave a general reminder to the class to keep mics muted. She didn't say anything for the rest of the class. In a math class I was in last year, we were taking a test, which you have to turn your mic on for their way of trying to prevent cheating. Some girl apparently forgot that hers was on and started belting out "Stand By You" by Rachel Platten at the top of her lungs. It went on for the entire song, and she was still humming it when I finished the test and left the call. My teacher got scolded by his wife, another teacher in school, because she needed to work and he didn't repair her computer. He was a computer technology teacher and he just keeps saying, "Sorry honey, I forgot. I won't do it again. I promise it will take 2 seconds to fix it." In loop because the wife went on a little rant of how he always forgot things. When he saw the mic was still on he blushed, and after a moment of silence just went on with the lesson. Edit. Thanks for the award. Of how he always forgot things. When he saw the mic was still on he blushed, and after a moment of silence just went on with the lesson. A moment of silence for his pride. LMAO. A few years ago during one of my exams, our professor brought her husband to help distribute Scantrons, because it was a big lecture hall, and she was just dogging his ass out the entire time. It was really uncomfortable to watch. In a thermodynamics class, one of the students said, "Holy shit, this is so much," after covering a large set of equations related to fugacity. Everyone found it relatable. One of my professor's classes had a student say something like, "I just joined 5 minutes before class and this asshole is already teaching." The professor just laughed and told him his mic was on. Something similar happened in my class. In Zoom you can text something for the entire class to see, or you can send something to a person individually. So, a friend of mine thought he sent me this fucking retard can't expect us to do that exercise. It's 8 AM in the morning, but he sent it to the entire class. The teacher saw it, everything stopped for like 30 seconds, and then he continued like nothing ever happened. Felt bad for the guy. In one of my classes, this girl wrote in the Zoom chat, "This is so fucking boring," not realizing that the professor could see it. How stupid do you have to be to do that? I mean, it literally says, "To everyone." Wrong window? Maybe she also had a private group chat going with friends. Pro tip, there's no such thing as a private chat group in Zoom. At the end of the meeting, the host can access the transcripts of all chats, including private chats. Edit. It appears our people were incorrect during training. Apologies for the misinformation. But for all of you who are freaking out right now, maybe be smart and use a second app to chat with your friends and colleagues during Zoom meetings and class. Don't fuck around on apps that another person has primary access to. Not a mic, but an elementary student left their camera for a moment and the mother walked by naked. Guessing she asked him to leave the room so she could change or something, not realizing the camera was left on. Edit. I just got back on Reddit and saw the reaction. Wow, far and away my highest upvoted comment. Would not have guessed that this one would blow up. Reddit is too thirsty. I'm not a student, but work in the tech industry. I've been in meetings where people forget to mute themselves on large company calls with hundreds or thousands of attendees, and we'll hear a fart and then a toilet flush. That's about as interesting as these meetings get though. Same. We had an update about a reorg that was supposed to be very serious because everyone's job was on the line. There were like 1 KPPL on the call and the VP couldn't get a word in because there was always someone unmuted in a room filled with babies operating a jackhammer or something. Also there was a toilet flush, which was hilarious. So I have one. I just did 8-hour Zoom calls for 7 weeks training for a new project. On the second week, a man unmutes his call, farts the longest fart I've ever heard in my life, then when he finishes, mutes the call. I can see others laughing while muted at his fatal error of thinking he wasn't muted, and so he went to mute his call. I found this to be the highlight of the week, but the following week the guy does it again. Honestly, the second time I laughed, but then started to wonder if it was some kind of power move. It was definitely a power move to assert dominance. Not virtual, but I was a guest speaker at a music college last year. My mic was still on when I finished, went backstage and said, "Well, that was fucking horrible." I wasn't called back to speak again. Edit. For those curious of the aftermath, I heard it out of the speakers and an immediate uproar of laughter ensued. I would have laughed had I been a student, but as a working professional it was one of the single most awkward experiences of my life. I had a student give a smart-ass response to a question I asked, and before I could respond his mom starts chewing into him and hitting him with a chancla. His mic and video was on for the whole thing. Edit. For all those asking, I did not report the single mother who took time off from her only remaining job during a pandemic so she could make sure her sons were able to access their education. Didn't strike me as abusive. I did call her after school to talk and let her know I would keep her updated on how her son was doing in my class so that, hopefully, between the two of us, we could keep him out of trouble. Some of y'all clearly didn't grow up around Hispanic families. La chancla is part of the culture. Edit 2. Clearly hit a nerve with the last one. Abuse is not okay. I have reported and will continue to report abuse. What I witnessed was clearly not abuse. Context is important. What was the question and response? I gotta hear this. Also, sorry if I'm not responding to all the comments. Edit. 4 more messages have popped up while I was writing this. Edit 5, edit 6, edit. I'll just stop and read them. Can't believe my first thread on this place is actually working well. Honestly, I can't even remember the question, but he said, "Fuck this gay shit." Just a dumbass 8th grader trying to look hard on his first week of online classes. I had a student's boyfriend, both college, walk up behind her on Zoom, reach into her shirt, pull out her breasts, and start doing a little boob dance. She was just laughing and playfully slapping his hands away. This was probably 30 seconds after I had just gone through my whole speech of making sure there was nothing in your browser history, Google search history, or names of folders that could be embarrassing or offensive. One time in an art class, separate from my school, my dad knocked on my door. It was dead silent at that point. Everyone was working on their projects. I clicked the mute button and yelled, "What?" Turns out my mic was already muted, and I turned it on. I startled the entire class and the teacher asked if I was okay. Edit. I know everyone hates these, but WTF, I was not expecting this to happen. And I got my first award. Thank you. My son was in a class, and I thought his mic was muted. I had cut myself, and walked over to gross him out and said, "Son, there's so much blood." And he responded, "You're gonna get blood on me." His class went silent and the teacher asked if he was okay. Oops. We laughed about it later. Reminds me of the time when my dad axed his leg on accident and then went up to my sister, gushing blood, and told her he had a boo-boo and to kiss it LMAO. She freaked out to say the least. Somebody in my class forgot to turn off the mic and started singing along to a song and loudly. Somebody told her, and there was this odd whop noise and then she cut off. Lol, this happened to me once minus the mic part. When I was about 9 we used to go to painting classes during summer vacation, and one day we were painting some rocks or something, and I was singing in my head and suddenly the whole class started laughing. Turned out during the loudest part of the song I sang loudly. When I was 8, I went to a hotel with my dad, and in the lobby bathroom I started singing Britney Spears' Hit Me Baby One More Time. When I came out, the people in the lobby clapped while having a good laugh. I was more than a little embarrassed.